Welcome to my channel. I am Roxanie Lamparero. So for this video, I will be discussing to you the definition, the strength, and the weaknesses, as well as what are the possibilities in relation to language learning of these 5 significant theories, namely cognitive, discourse, monitor, social interaction, and variable competence. Let us begin with cognitive theory. Cognitive theory uses the idea that children are born with very little cognitive abilities. It only means that they are not able to recognize and process very much information. At birth, infants are limited to a very small scope of mental processes that must be developed over time. For its strength, the use of hypothesis allows children acquiring language to make connections from prior information to discover new possible uses of language. To its weakness, the connections that a person makes within a collective culture allow that individual to implement personal cognition of certain circumstances to interpret various events. These connections are then transferred to language through a series of processes in which the individual creates the disposition towards language. Now, for its possibilities in relation to language learning, the child is able to develop language as his intellect develops. Let's move on to the second one, discourse theory. This theory is concerned with human expressions, often in the form of language. It highlights how such expressions are linked to human knowledge. In the context of Stephen Krashen's theory, discourse encourages acquisition of a language, which is a product of subconscious processes, rather than the learning, which is what takes place under explicit instruction. Its strength is that as students practice more discourse, their language use becomes more fluid. Discourse also helps them practice communication strategies for when they need to discuss a concept they are less familiar with. To its weakness, in these situations, people fall back on different communication strategies to get their point across. This can include paraphrasing, substitution of a known word or phrase, or circumlocution, making it difficult for them to speak the language fluently. Now, for its possibilities in relation to language learning, discourse is a useful tool in both native and second language classrooms. In either case, the communication strategies tend to be the same, and implicit instruction is equally important for any language learning. So next is the monitor theory. It asserts that a learner's learned system acts as a monitor to what they are producing. In other words, while only the acquired system is able to produce spontaneous speech, the learned system is used to check what is being spoken. This theory, as defined by Krashen, distinguishes two processes that enable learners to develop their language ability, and that includes subconscious acquisition and conscious learning. Such conscious learning, according to Krashen, is only available as a monitor as learners can consciously edit their output that includes their utterances or written work. This, however, has no effect on subconscious through acquisition, and in its absence, output will be less accurate or native speaker-like. For its strength, language learners may very well experience formal teaching and learning of the target language, such as study of grammar, rote memorization, and many others, where thinking about the structure of the language is required. To its weakness, the acquisition learning relevant to its distinction is not properly defined, and the distinction cannot be empirically tested. Now, for its possibilities in relation to language learning, the monitor is the device that learners use to edit their language performance. It utilizes learned knowledge by acting upon and modifying utterances generated from acquired knowledge. The fourth one is the social interaction theory. This theory considers language acquisition to be as a result of negotiating with your environment to represent the recurrent regularities that occur. It also proposes the idea that the culture and environment in which language is being learned are highly influential in an individual's development. For its strength, it allows young children to have an ability to create much complex sentences and questions, and they can begin to make conversations with others. Meanwhile, to its weakness, it tends to be so focused on the individual. It misses out on larger structural questions on power dynamics and on social inequalities. Now, for its possibilities in relation to language learning, language enables the children to explore and explain their world, to obtain new experience, and to add depth to their knowledge, which is already grasped. Finally, the variable competence theory. This theory proposes that the ability to use language varies systematically within functional domains and linguistic contexts, and that such variability is inherent in interlanguage as well. Its strength is that variable competence, as the user processes a heterogeneous rule system, there is a single knowledge score containing variable interlanguage rules according to how automatic and how analyzed the rules are. Its weakness is that variable competence are not considered to constitute an appropriate framework for applied linguistic research in the fields of language testing and second language acquisition. Now, for its possibilities in relation to language learning, the learner possesses a capacity for language use which consists of primary and secondary discourse, on-secondary process, and cognitive process. So that's all for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching. And if you like this video, please give this like, share, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications for more updates. See you again on my next vlog. Goodbye!